Welcome to episode 88 of the Nero Show. In today's episode,
Cycling Weekly tests for their Aero climbing all-round race bike of the year. We chat through how they picked it.
Coros release a new bike computer and a very mixed review on YouTube.
Zwift launched the world's ugliest smart bike. Dave Arthur discusses the WheelTop EDX Chinese group set.
And I'm going to go do another gravel race. This time I'm going to try and finish. All right, let's get into it. All right, let's get straight into it this week. Jesse Coyle.
Let's go.
Cycling Weekly race bike of the year video went up. Lots to discuss about this, the specifics, a little bit of some of the selections that they made, but just generally these types of videos where they sit in the ecosystem that is bike YouTube world.
For me, I love this type of video. Now, I've got my gripes with this one in particular, which don't worry, we're going to get into, but this type of video, like the old school bike radar group tests, I think you'll probably remember them. They've done them for years. We're going to get 10 climbing bikes in. We'll roll out Warren Rossiter. He'll ride them back to back and he'll pick the winner. Like that style of video, which I thought this was, I do like. To me, that fits in. There's kind of like a few ways that I think the cycling content can help you review a bike. So you've got your objective stuff. You've got your tour magazine testing. Awesome. Love it. You've got your engineering, safety, design style videos, the Hambini style. I like that as well. I want to know what's the engineering spec on it. Love it. This is the third part. This is how does the bike feel? How are they spec'd? How does the value compare across some of the other bikes? This fits in with that. It's like a three-headed trident, I think, for cycling content for us that are using this to buy a bike. So that's what I thought this was going to be. So I went in pretty open-minded. You sent me the link. Then the wheels start to fall off because I'm watching it and they go, best aero bike. He picks the look. Okay. Best value race bike. He picks a Merida. But then all the B-roll, I'm not seeing compared to what. So I'm thinking, you know, they've picked the look as the best aero race bike for 2024. Yeah, but what's it beaten? You know, what's this? And then I go to the description. We tested 9 of the hottest high-end bikes on the market to crown our winner. We had 5 categories.
Is that 9 in each category or just 9 in total?
Based on the B-roll that was in the video and that description, they've tested and crowned their top 5 race bikes of the year in 5 different categories by testing 9 bikes. Because I'm sitting here watching this and I'm going, race bike of the year. All right. Canyon Aero, you know, you've got the Tour de France winning S5. You've got Kendall's System 6, test really well. Tour magazine, interested to hear their thoughts. And then that all that seems to be tested is the look. So I don't know. Well, I don't understand how they've done for Cycling Weekly, one of the biggest cycling publications, to do their big mega test bike of the year, and they've seemingly rolled out 9 bikes, and they've missed all the big ones.
And this stuff matters. Like I wanted to give Cycling Weekly almost a pass on this because I know the narrative now is like, oh, Jesse and Chris are having another big sook about bike reviews, or what are they whinging about this time? Oh, there hasn't been enough. They don't have enough bikes to test, whatever. Get over it. But this stuff matters. And I'll tell you why it matters. Because if you go onto the giant global website right now and have a look at the TCR, you'll see a little badge up next to that TCR. Click on the badge and Cycling Weekly named TCR Advanced SL Best Climbing Bike. So if this is being used by the brands in their promotional material, we need to know more about these actual tests.
Well, that's the other thing that wasn't in the video. In the old bike radar ones, they used to list all the bikes. We tested 10 climbing bikes. This is what they were. So then you knew if the TCR beat the Canyon Ultimate, that the reviewer thought that was a better bike than that because you knew what it had beaten. Whereas they haven't actually listed what all the bikes that they tested were. So yes, I think it's a bit of a problem. Now, funny because we gave our bikes of the year and we tested only the ones we had ridden. But the funny thing is, just from the bikes you have accidentally ridden, you've probably ridden 9 bikes.
Yes.
So you could probably match that just in your own.
And this is maybe the question for later on, but we get criticized for even talking about a bike that we haven't ridden. And our pushback a lot of the time is, well, we can't. Like, can only experience so many bikes at a time, and financially, that's the only way to make it work. I assume Cycling Weekly have similar stresses when it comes to this sort of stuff. But the more I look at it, I just think that's an easy out because honestly, Jesse, I'm starting to get so cynical about this stuff. I mean, I look at this now and who's to say this just isn't a quid pro quo? We'll give you the climbing bike award because, that puts our brand on your global website page. And it works for both of us all of a sudden, doesn't it? This is great branding for Cycling Weekly appearing on the giant global website. I don't know. I just get real irky feelings about this stuff now.
I mean, I think he actually, we'll get into it. I think he did a pretty good job actually reviewing it. It's just that he only reviewed 9 bikes. And then how can you pick bike of the... Yeah. I think you'd be better off just not writing, just spec sheet picking bike of the year at that rate because you haven't really tested that many. But anyway, enough.
Can we get into the actual selections?
Let's get in. Okay.
This to me is going to form a little bit. I don't think we're in a position yet to be naming our bikes of the year. That's the end of the year. Yep. Surely that's. Yep. But okay. I think it's all fair game here to do a little clubhouse leader maybe halfway through the year selection. So we might play along with Cycling Weekly for a bit and start with the Aero bike winner.
Yeah. So first bike they picked, the Aero bike of the year, the best Aero race bike out of, we're not sure what bikes were tested, was the Look Blade 795 RS.
So there's very few selections here that aren't subjective, which is just wrong. And the answer is just, this is wrong. It's the wrong answer. It's not actually up for debate. The Aero bike of the year is basically the Simplon Pride 2, or anything that is aerodynamically superior to its rivals. This is a one bike to do a lovely bike, but it's a one bike to do it all.
Yes.
In my opinion.
I do agree sort of with you, although he did a very good job at explaining why he picked that. He said, I think this is the best race bike out of the Aero bike category, which I get. It's just the problem is when you're picking the best Aero bike, you should be picking the fastest bike or at least one of the fastest bike. I mean, I'm not sure, but has the Look Blade 795 RS being tested head-to-head against the Canyon Aero and an S5? Like, I haven't seen the results.
I agree with you. He actually describes the rationale behind his selections and the criteria that every category had to meet for it to win a particular section. He described that very well. And I do think Tip Boy has a future in this particular... Well, I know. We will...
so we can stop using it,
Okay, we need a new name.
He's earned...
This is actual name. He's earned a name.
Yeah, because he
flash
reviewed
it
it quite well. Okay. And then
I'll use it.
Okay. One of my main things though, in his criteria for picking this bike was, okay, I'm going to pick the Aero. I'm going to pick my Aero bike winner. He said, it's basically the bike that a sprinter would use. What out of the bikes he tested is the bike the sprinter would use because that's who should use an Aero bike. So, okay, I'm with you in that. Sure, that's how you're justifying it. I just don't agree that an Aero bike is a bike designed for a sprinter.
Completely disagree. Yeah, I mean.
The Aero bike,
agree. Yeah.
The Aero bike is designed for looking at pro racing. It's designed for the pro rider spending the most amount of time in the wind in a pro race.
Correct.
Which are the breakaway riders and the domestiques. And then you've probably got lead out guys.
In the wind.
In the wind for more period of time. And then you've got the sprinters next. Definitely they're sprinting at really high speed, makes a difference, but they're hitting the wind for like 200 meters. So I would say if you're going to pick like a use case and then pick a bike based on that use case, you'd be picking what would Tim de Klerk want to ride? What would be best for Taco van der Hoorn? That's Aero bike. So just picking up on that there in how he's described the Aero bike. You mentioned this as well. He says he likes the Look Blade 795 RS because it has a really stiff, well-built
13 times he mentioned the word stiffness.
Yep.
In regards to this bike. Yes.
very stiff, and he likes the integrated cockpit. And this is a little one too, right? He mentioned that in other integrated cockpits from other brands, they weren't very stiff, and he some of them he didn't like, but he really likes the look one.
Let's hear him.
Come on!
Here we go. You had me.
What a tease!
You had me.
Yeah.
You hooked me in. I was there.
What are you scared of? What are the shit ones?
Name the names. Name the brands. Come on, give them to us. I just really don't like some of those other ones.
Such as, I mean, should I not buy? What one shouldn't I buy? What
Which
one don't you
one?
like?
You're the guy. Tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny. It was kind of got to the line and then went, nah, actually, I don't want to piss anyone off. I'll do it. I didn't like the black ink ones. The previous generation of the black ink ones, before they updated them for the new factor, weren't very stiff at all. As soon as I went from that one to the Vision Metron 5Ds, is like you could tell straight away.
And that's the worst part of that bike.
The Aero.
Yes.
Yep.
It's the only thing.
Not a fan of the
only
integrated
thing that's
bars.
setting it back, which looks like they're
Again,
fixing.
which they've updated for that pre-release prototype one. Vanderpool's on. So
it's not that hard.
Yes,
It's not that hard. Look. Yeah. Anyway, can I talk about the value bike of the year, Jesse Coyle, otherwise known as Chris Miller's selection from last year?
Yep.
Chris Miller's selection from last year, the Merida Sculptura 9000. Yes, he did select the 9000. Fantastic selection. Completely agree. Can we just give it a rest in the comments? Seriously, every time someone mentions a value bike and puts a number next to it, the first comment has to be, "Oh, that number's not value." Look, what do you want? Let's just put question marks. Let's just never have the category then. So, but personally, I obviously think that's a super value bike. Interestingly, that it's the way the language that they talk about that specifically the Merida brand in that UK market. It's very much a unknown brand, seemingly in the UK. Here in Australia, it's, I would argue, one of the top 5 brands in the country, just from pure visibility, mostly due to 99 Bikes. But yeah, it's very prominent here. So it was interesting to hear it talked about as being a underdog.
And if you want to hear like a ride feel well described, I think that segment did quite well. Because it's kind of hard to put into words what you're feeling on a bike. Like I ask you all 1,000 times, and you're kind of like back in I think and this and then you never. It's quite hard to get that clear across. And they did a pretty good job describing why they picked that as a value bike. That was pretty good.
I think he did an even better job of describing the next category, which was the climbing bike of the year. I mean, put aside the shit that I've just given him. I think he's absolutely nailed the definition of what a climbing bike should feel like and the feedback that it should give. Now, I don't necessarily 100% agree with his take on the TCR and the flats, but the feedback that the bike should give you and the way he described it through the head tube stiffness, I thought that was really interesting. That the way that he was testing that was like muscling the head tube through the bars. And that's how he could feel flex and that kind of thing in a climbing bike. And that's where you would feel flex in a bike like that. Because ultimately you want the climbing bike to feel stiff. You want that stiffness to weight. So excellent job talking about that. And I mean, I agree. I've never ridden a disc brake climbing bike. And this TCR is pretty nice. But
Again, not to just keep harping on about it, but I mean, what about the new Factor Ostro with the integrated seat post? Not the Ostro, bloody hell. The Factor 02, the new one. Did they test that?
Well, I mean, it was in the B-roll. It was in the B-roll. Good point. Don't know the answer.
Because you're kind of going, okay, well, that's climbing bike of the year. What's it beaten?
Yeah.
Because then you can start bringing up the other climbing bikes. You got Tadej Pogacar on a Colnago V4 RS. Is it better than that, or is it? That's where you.
That's the definition. Where's the definition? Is the definition just a pure? Is it a pure weight? Has it got to be less than? Has the frame weight got to be less than a certain number? That's a really good point. And there's the other thing about this category of bike, which, like the R5 being a great example of it, it's a generation old now. I mean, the TCR is the new generation of disc brake road, this is so hard to say, disc brake climbing bikes that are sub 600 gram frames built up to illegal weights very easily, whereas that R5 is the previous iteration of it, which is maybe 7 kilos.
Yep.
So it's a great bike, the TCR, but it's not in that category up against many rivals of a similar ilk, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. And then as well, the Propel, they mentioned, I think he maybe made an error. He said that it's aerodynamically, it's only 5 watts slower than a Propel.
Yeah.
I don't know where that
Where's
number's
that come from?
Tour Magazine's test, the TCR's still 222 watts and the Propel's like 209, 208. So it's at 45k an hour. It's still,
but that's
in terms of like the bands of aero bikes, the TCR is very much a climbing bike aerodynamically.
It's over 220.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can stop thinking that it's in the, like it hasn't made its way into the do-it-all SL8 category.
No. And I like it. Clearly, he has ridden these bikes and tests. Like he talked about riding it in his local chain gang. I hate that phrase. I'm sorry, UK. I find that really weird to say. It's like YMCA or something. His local chop ride, and he said that it matched the speeds of the other bikes, and that it was a really quick bike in this stuff. That's not my experience. It's a climbing bike in a fast-paced road chop off, and it feels like one. So yeah.
Okay. This was a funny one.
This is the Nero Show. I'm sorry. Didn't you not feel like when he put this in, you were like, hang on a second. I think this is the Froth factor category.
This is a Froth bike.
Yep.
This was the next category, most desirable bike. Now, they've picked the NV Malay. Oh, sorry, NV Melee. That is, I mean, very subjective category, we have to say. So, I mean, we all get a medal for picking one, but survey a group of roadies who's picking the NV Malay as the most desirable road bike. I mean, what came to mind for me?
Most capable? I could see it.
Yep.
Capability? Desirable? The one that you see in the shop window and go, one day, Chris.
The Ferrari, the Lamborghini.
In fairness, this is his selection, and I could see maybe he just totally froths the brand envy, like just loves the wheels, the bar and stem thing, and he's like, yes, just put it all together for me, beautiful, love it. I maybe get that from just a brand froth perspective, but the bike.
No, but this is where I think they've picked, this is the most desirable bike out of the 9 they tested. I'm pretty sure this is only one of the ones they tested because they didn't have B-roll of them on a Colnago or a BMC. I mean, for me, if I was going to pick what do I think is the most desirable, I think it's that new Red Bull-inspired design BMC Team Machine R. I think that'd be up there. Or you could probably, if you're then starting to go, okay, well, desirable, you're probably going European, Italian. So then you may be looking at like a Colnago V4RS or even C68.
Dog of a bike.
It's most desirable.
Fair enough.
Or what are you thinking? Most desirable.
New Dogma.
Dogmas?
Get me on that bottom bracket any day of the week.
Yep.
I saw Pidcock's one there at Tour de Suisse. There's a little extra bend in the top tube now that I didn't notice before.
Sneaky bend.
Yes, please.
Even.
And I would say a Pride 2, but anyway.
Okay. Yep. Not
Could you imagine a Pride 2 just there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Like, even the new Factor Ostro van.
Yeah.
Like,
I actually put that in.
I got it. If you surveyed... If you went to Centennial Park and showed them photos and surveyed people, I reckon more people would desire the Factor Ostro van than the Malay.
I regret giving it shit when I was at Tour Down Under. I've seen it in the real life a couple of times since, and just the combination of how narrow it is, like when you look at it front on, and the shaping of the head tube. I'm in. Hate the brand, but yeah, rate it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Little last minute dig.
Jesus Christ.
Little dig in there. Like that.
Fucking pricks.
Okay.
Race bike of the year. This kind of felt like their overall. That's what it was in the title of the video. Race Bike of the Year, SRX Tarmac SL8.
Oh, can I add one more to the froth? Well, I just was in that mindset. The Madone Gen 7.
Yeah.
Yep. I saw someone in the park on that blue one the other day.
I haven't seen
the baby
the
blue
baby
one.
blue one. Yeah.
I just think that is beautiful bike.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful bike. And the white Trek logo on it. Trek's paint jobs are always majestic. So, yeah, that one. Anyway, sorry. I'll just settle down.
Okay.
Move on. Yep.
Race Bike of the Year, Tarmac SL8. Yep.
Mhm.
Probably fair enough. Yep.
It's, for me, like, this is an interesting one because, he tries to be controversial at the end and say it's the best race bike ever made. And I don't think he's wrong when he's talking about it's probably the best race bike or pro-level bike ever made for a punter. It really is. Like, if you want to experience a pro-level bike that's super light, that's pretty aero, that's pretty stiff, that has beautiful, that red colorway that he had was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. I think that is definitely the best race bike for a standard, non-professional, non-elite rider. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think it's the best race? I mean, no, obviously I don't think that. But I can see that. So
his criteria was if I was doing, I think this was it. It was if I was doing a pro stage race or something, I had to pick one bike. That the SL8 would be it. I think that I haven't ridden it. It seems like a lot of the reviewers agree that across all the categories, it is kind of race bike of the year.
That's a weird criteria, isn't it? Don't you think? If you were if you had to select your race bike of the year,
we're not going to. Yeah.
What would your criteria be?
Well,
God, I just think that's an interesting criteria to be like, the goal of this bike is to hang on for grim death at the back of the pillow in a race that is above my ability.
It's just a stupid criteria because it's the dumbest hypothetical. Because if you're a pro, you have a truck full of bikes, and the brand, you should, in theory, just be able to pick whatever bike you want specific to the terrain you're on. So to pick one bike to do everything is not even a realistic scenario, or shouldn't be a realistic scenario for a pro, because they should be able to pick multiple bikes. So it's just a weird.
Yes.
Yeah, thing. It's more of like you're right. It's like a punter's bike. If I'm going to do a Grand Fondo and crits and whatever else, okay, pick an SL8. Happy days.
Yeah. Like if I was going to choose the race, my criteria would be what bike gives me the best chance of winning a race at my level of racing? Or if I don't race, what bike gives me, well, actually I'm not even going to buy this bike because I don't race. So
they did mention as well, just with the SL8, they did mention some negatives, which was like the handlebar width choices for that new integrated bar. I still think they're too soft. They're too soft. Like, that's bullshit. You spend 20 grand Aussie or freaking how many, 16, 15,000 US dollars, and the narrowest handlebar you can get is 38. Like, that's crap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm full cynical on this now because I just know what the SL9's going to be. It'll be the same looking frame, but you'll be able to get 36 mil bars, and they'll be slightly more shaped. And then the bike will be 7 watts faster as tested, because now you can adopt a more aggressive position. I mean, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, they mentioned it. I just think it's kind of always like, they just wet themselves, and then it's just like, the handlebar choice is kind of crap. Don't worry about it. Forget about it.
Oh, 42s as well.
Yeah. Like, that's a big, anyway, to me, that's a real put off. And I think me spending that money, that should be, kick up a bit more of a stink. But I think, race bike of the year, sure, cool. Okay. Well, again, like, what's missing? Like, where's the BMCs? Where's the Colnago Giro winning bike? Where is Cervelo, the Tour de France winning bike? Where's Cannondale?
Yeah, where's the Aero? Where's the S5?
I don't know. So that is, I don't get, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be when I went in, which was the group test from Bike Radar. And that's a shame.
All right, so yeah, Cycling Weekly's bikes of the year. Are we just having a big sook about nothing, or do you think we should be expecting a little bit more from this category of bike review? Let's just pause for a message from today's show partner, Bikes Online. Bikes Online is your one-stop shop for everything bike-related. It has heaps and heaps of brands on there that you know and love, like POC, Wahoo, 100%, SRAM, Laser, and of course the Polygon brand. Now we have some massive news regarding this promotion, but just quickly on the website, what's taking your interest at the moment, Jesse?
I mean, there's a lot that takes interest. I'm going to stick with it because I can't get over it. It's how crazy the value is on their gravel bike called the Tambora G7 from Polygon. Comes SRAM, Apex, 12-speed, mechanical, hydraulic disc brakes, 45mm tire clearance. I would not be riding if I didn't have a gravel bike. I love my gravel bike, and having this value option so you can use for actual gravel, you can use for commuting, you can use for training. It's a really good option to have, really good in wet weather, and that's just killer value. They've smashed it out of the park.
Now, I promised you some massive news. We have secured an additional 5% off the current sale price of the POC Omni Lite, that whole Helios range and the entire Tambora range, using the code Nero5 at checkout. So that's an additional 5% off the current sale price using code Nero5 on the POC Omni Lite, the whole Helios range, and that Tambora range. And thanks very much for Bikes Online for supporting today's show.
Being actually a pretty big week in YouTube land. A lot of new releases. Shane Miller's blowing off the handle. We've got Zwift bikes and all kinds of stuff. So I thought we could do a bit of a roundup on what we've seen in YouTube land with all these new releases. Did you want to start with the Zwift bike?
I was hoping you might start with you're our indoor training expert.
Because I hyped up the Zwift trainer.
You did.
And then I hyped up the Zwift cog for the Wahoo Kicker Core, which is a cool product. And they've released this, which I don't know if I'm living in another planet, because it was the videos were quite positive about it. The comments were quite positive. And I can't quite get my head around this. Let me explain it and see if you can justify it to me. So Zwift have launched the world's ugliest smart bike. But
hang on, that's not in the press release.
No, well, it should have been. But it's not a smart bike. It's basically a white dummy bike frame, which you then attach to a kicker core.
Well, it can't.
Or if you buy it, so for now, you can only buy it as part of this bundle, which is not a smart bike. It's just some crap Zwift frame attached to the trainer, the Wahoo trainer, and they're calling that the smart bike. And then eventually, I think they're going to be selling this Zwift bike thing on its own. What I don't get, firstly, just let me run through a few things. There's no adjustable crank length on the cranks, which is quite annoying. If you've got this heavy, clunky, smart bike of a thing, the whole point is that adjustability should be able to fit anyone. Like, that's why you're using it. So to not be able to change the crank length is odd. It also comes with a regular chain, which I think's weird. If you're kind of going into this realm, you want it to just be maintenance free. Just set it up and leave it. This is kind of, for someone that's buying this kind of product, a lot of people maybe don't have a bike yet, or have a bike that's not appropriate for the trainer. So for them to be like setting it up with the through axle on the thing and then having to like tension the chain up with that, I just think is odd. It should just be, the whole point of like the kicker bike is it's all self-contained. You don't even have to know what's going on under there. The reason why the product just confuses me is that they did a really good job with that Zwift cog, which just meant if you bought the kicker core and you had the Zwift cog or the Zwift trainer, you don't even need to have working gears. You just stick the whatever bike you've got on this trainer, buy the Zwift click buttons, and you can use that to shift your gears, and away you go. So you could be on any bike. You could go on Facebook Marketplace and buy some crappy commuter flat bar thing that, as long as it fits you, you can get the seat height right, you can be off and the shifting will be fine. So I'm no environmentalist, but I just looked at this thing and I'm just like, why are you buying this useless metal frame of a bike when you could have just gone, like, that's what a secondhand bike's for. Just buy a secondhand bike, buy the Zwift click things, and you're good to go.
See, it's interesting. I hadn't looked at it from that perspective. I actually, when I first saw this came out, I kind of thought it was pretty cool. And so the fact that you were getting this frame, which does come with the Zwift blips and bits and pieces, it all sort of makes it sort of a self-contained indoor cycling ecosystem. and you get the kicker core as well, which then you can progressively move to your A1 bike if that's what you wanted to do, or you can travel with it, or if that's something people do. I'm not 100% sure, but it did seem to be a little bit more. It would therefore break down into a smaller package at a house than a bike, I would imagine, because you can actually take it apart and move it into a cupboard or something like that. Aesthetically, I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, I haven't seen it in person. The crank length thing, yes, I do admit that's weird, but Shane Millen did make mention of the fact that he was looking into the capabilities of that crank set, and you've got to imagine, no, you're shaking your head, anyway, so I'll forget about that.
No, what do you mean, like they could change the crank over?
Yes.
No, this is a very novice level. No one's changing Octolink cranks on a, no.
Okay.
No. Sorry, I was going to mention the other thing. It's not compatible with the kicker climb. It can't move up and down.
That's odd.
That's like one of the good things about the kicker bike, which is the marquee product, is it's self-contained and it has the kicker climb thing built in. And if you just used a secondhand bike, if at some stage you were doing lots of indoor training, you could buy the kicker climb and it would be compatible.
But then in comparison, so that's the Wahoo bike. But then you've got so there's no real. The point of this is there isn't really any competition for it, because the other bikes, like the Garmin one, isn't that like twice the price of this?
Yeah.
And so this is trying to sort of create a new niche.
Who's it for? Is this for someone that doesn't already have a bike? Because the whole point about the Zwift cog, it works with any bike, anything. You're telling me there's someone that's going to buy this that doesn't have some bike?
I would be more likely, if I was ever going to set up an indoor thing again, I would be more likely to set up a entirely self-sufficient indoor thing that does not require me to put my bike on and off. I would literally have it as a thing. So not necessarily this. That's why when this first came out, I was kind of, is that the thing that gets me back into indoor cycling? I can see what they're trying to do. Do you not? Yeah. No.
I think it's so wasteful. Like, there'll be a lot of people that buy this that already have a secondhand bike. Like, what are you buying this clunky piece of metal for?
That's a very good point.
You already have a bike.
That is a very good point.
I just don't get it.
But it comes to that dirt, like that dirty, shitty thing that you were talking about. Like, you've got this clunker in the house. Like, now, what, am I going to drag that into my house to use as my trainer bike? No, I've got this nice clean white one that I can do that in, and it becomes easier to negotiate that being in the house rather than your slop fest bike that lives out in the garage that now you're dragging through the kitchen to set up. I agree with you. It does feel wasteful, and I do think that the missing crank length thing, I just don't understand why you wouldn't put that in. Every other thing on this bike is completely customizable. I mean, a friggin' SRM power meter can do that little thing with the diamond. I don't understand why you wouldn't do that.
Okay. I mean, yeah, what do you guys think? I don't know.
I want to see one.
I don't get it.
I do want to see one in person.
Okay.
I do have an interest in seeing one in person.
Okay.
Yeah. So Dave Arthur was talking about this new. Is it new? This WheelTop
EDS TX,
which is another group set that's kind of just snuck out into the world. Now, you're our resident Asian component
correspondent.
That's Cross Live to Jesse Coyle in Shangwan province. Jesse, your thoughts? I mean, initially, anytime a mainstream channel deals with this stuff, my ears kind of prick up just about the kind of language that's used. So I'm interested to see what your sort of take on this is.
It was basically just unboxed it and just chatted through what it comes with, what the price is and stuff. There's 2 points I wanted to get your thoughts on. He mentioned the pricing of the group set, the retail pricing of the WheelTop group set, and then showed, okay, well, this is what you can get Shimano 105 DO2 for or a SRAM Rival for. But he flashes up, like, I think it was Merlin cycles, and it's a 48% off 105 DO2. That's probably in some specific setup with like a specific crank that maybe you don't want, and And yeah, like you could buy that for that. But do you think it's fair to compare retail pricing of a Chinese group set to discount pricing of a Shimano group set?
That's a bit nasty. And did he say that out loud, or did he just use screenshots?
No, he just said, for that price, for £200 more, you could get 105 DO2. Which, I mean, yeah, from that one seller on a sale time, for some reason they've sold it. But that's not the retail price. No. I feel like it's really unfair. And when I discuss prices, when I was talking about the bike build, or generally when I'm discussing prices of anything, I pretty much all the time am just discussing the retail price because, yeah, you could use some influencer's code, you get 10% off your WheelTop. It's just like you can't compare prices with that. So I don't know. Okay, you agree that was a bit unfair.
I think that's a bit mean. And I mean I can kind of see his point in that if you are sort of in this game of you are searching out some of these group sets, potentially you therefore are already in the if you know crowd, and therefore you would be hot on the sort of trail of bargains anyway. Maybe that's a defense for it. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like a fight that Dave really needs to have. I wouldn't have thought.
No, I just thought it was just interesting. If you're comparing prices between products, you should be using the retail price. Interesting thing about this group set, which I'd never really thought of until this came out, is that you can select the number of speeds. It can be 3-speed or 13-speed.
Oh, I heard this.
Yeah. So if you've got an old 10-speed rim brake Shimano bike, you can upgrade your shifting and set it as 10-speed. Or if you've got a 13-speed gravel grip set, you can do it. You just select it in the app, and then
the
derailleur just moves a little bit less, and it moves 13 times instead of 10. Like,
well, I mean that's what we are going to see from SRAM, because when they launched their 13-speed Explorer group set, that's going to be backwards compatible to all the 12-speed stuff. That's what we'll be doing. You'll be selecting in the app that you got to tell the app, right, you're doing 12 shifts, you're doing 13. I mean,
you will? Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay.
It'll be backwards compatible, 100%.
But they say backwards compatible as in I can use my 12-speed chain with the new 13-speed rear derailleur. It doesn't necessarily mean that
on the cog.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that the derailleurs are going to be customizable in their speeds.
If you work at SRAM, comment down below and I'll pin that comment to the top.
Because they've never done.
Okay, fair enough.
As far as I'm aware, a Shimano, SRAM, or Campagnolo group set has never allowed you to update the speeds ever.
Because update the shifts.
Yeah, update the number of the speed.
No, fair enough. Well, I mean that's not. I mean when I move my S5 between the 1x and 2x, and I tell it that okay, you're a 1x system now. I mean that updates and improves the speed of that rear derailleur shift to when I have it as 2x. So there is a.
But when, for example, when the 13-speed SRAM comes out, and you can buy a 13-speed cassette, will you be able to put that cassette on your bike and tell the rear derailleur, I'm now 13-speed?
Well, it depends what derailleur. What derailleur do you have?
Well, whatever one you've got now.
Why would I put a 13-speed derailleur?
No, 13-speed cassette.
Oh, on a 12-speed derailleur?
Yeah.
No, that won't work.
That's what the WheelTop one can do.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, for example, like if my current, I've got a Shimano Ultegra 11-speed group set. So if this was WheelTop, now that 12-speed Shimano's out, I could just say, hey, rear derailleur, you're now 12-speed. I buy a 12-speed cassette and I'm in 12-speed. I haven't had to buy a new rear derailleur. And all it's done is just changed how much it's shifting.
That sounds cool. I reckon in practice, that will be a shit show.
Yes.
An absolute
You've got
shit
like
show.
different widths of chain.
What do they call them? Parallelograms or different sort of shift angles. Yeah, good luck with that working.
Maybe, potentially. I'm just saying when I heard that as a feature, I thought, oh, why can't my 11-speed rear derailleur just be 12 with a firmware update?
No, yeah, okay. I don't mind that. I rate that. Actually, I did see that on, I think Dave Noakes, he's got it. Another UK YouTuber. I think he has it on his bike. He was kind of out riding it, and that was kind of his thing. He's like, what? I got to now choose my number of shifts I've got to do?
Yeah.
Apart from that, it seemed to work. Yeah. Oh, just quickly, any update? No bike? No bike yet?
I know I said last week I had a FedEx package coming. That was my other update delivered from Panda Podium. Something with Tuesdays. I have another FedEx notification. The frame, I to mark my words, is on the truck to be delivered today.
You know how I know that Jesse doesn't watch the show? Because on last week's show, in the edit, I had the picture that you sent of your group set arriving when you're saying, oh, I think this is going to arrive.
Oh.
I have a B-roll bit coming up and saying, well, you don't, Jesse. And it's a picture of that.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
That's how you know Jesse doesn't watch the show.
Exactly a week later, the frame's coming. Can I just say, I'm kind of going to probably go radio silent on it because I need to test it. And there's no point in doing 3 rides on it and be like, oh, that's amazing. So don't expect any big things for a while.
First ride report. Let's see.
We probably will end up, anyway, we may do that if we can't help ourselves.
Right. My turn, JC.
Yes.
My turn, JC. There it is.
Coros Dura-Ace.
Dura-Ace. Yeah. Okay. So where shall I start with this?
Can I?
Yeah, you go.
Can I? I didn't know you had this because all I did was woke up and suddenly every review channel's reviewed the new Coros Dura head unit. And I watched them, thought, okay, interesting, curious. All right, got my thoughts. Then I came here today and you go, oh, yeah, no, I've had it. So this is going to be quite interesting.
It's not going to be as interesting as Shane Miller's video because, yes, Shane essentially articulated everything that I've experienced with it so far. And when I say I've experienced with it, so yeah, I received this 10 days ago or whenever everyone else did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically, when I say unusable, it was actually unusable for almost 7 of those days because they hadn't even updated the app that goes alongside it to understand this computer. It's still, when you were trying to sync it up to the Coros app, it was still referring to it as a watch. And that really only changed earlier this week.
Okay.
So every review that you've seen that's gone up online, we're recording this on a Tuesday and those videos have all come out today. Those reviewers have had this for as long as I have. So they maybe had 3 rides on it, potentially, of a working device.
Yep. Well, we can chat about Shane's video because a lot of people probably don't even know what this is and haven't watched Shane Miller's video. Can we give a quick cliff notes on it?
Yeah, so Coros Dura is a bike computer from Coros. Coros are a wearables smartwatch brand, very big, and this is their first move into bike computer land, which is fantastic. Great to see another competitor in this space, et cetera, et cetera. They are very much coming at it in their press stuff about this being an explorer device. So as you can see, aesthetically, Jesse really, really likes the big forehead on it.
Very capable head unit.
That basically top third of the screen is a solar panel. And this is kind of what I want to get into because that is the selling point of it. And if you go and watch anything that's currently online about this product, that's the headline feature. And it's probably even some of the thumbnails like, wow, incredible battery life, blah, blah, blah. And it does. Like it's gone down like 4% in the sort of couple of days that I've had it here.
Mm.
But that's basically all that works. Nothing else really works. This is a product that is at very best a beta product. This is the form that it's currently in should go out to a number of individuals and be ridden for the next 6 months with lots of feedback, and then maybe a public beta comes in after that. Maybe we're at that sort of stage. To have given this to media people, that's fine. Shane's a perfect person to give this to. He's going to give you absolutely all. He's going to find everything wrong and right with your product. The problem is that, and I don't want to go too, I'm not sure how much I can say, but the problem when media people get this stuff is you're given an embargo date when you can talk about it. And with this particular device, the language around it was, we would be really pleased if you adhered to this embargo and followed it with a inform your followers with some content about it. Inferring that they wanted you to do some sort of launch video, first look kind of thing. So it seems really disingenuous to me now, and I've seen this a few times, especially on Shane's video, that Coros are coming back saying, "Oh, well back, chill, Shane, chill. Like it's not public release yet. Like don't go at us too hard. Thanks for all your feedback." That's fine, but you told the majority of these reviewers and creators that you wanted content to come out. And I will say a lot of them did that and have produced total works of fiction when it comes to their reviews. Like, it really angers me that, thank God this thing isn't actually available. I'm not sure. I saw they actually have put it on their website now, but if you
July 15, it's shipping in a month.
If you watched a Des Fitz review of this, you'd think, oh yeah, I'll spend my money on that. Looks like it's going in the right direction. Nice different sort of thing to Garmin, heaps of battery life. He did this thing where he pulled the mount out and sort of tried to break the mount. And it was this, the mount's really robust. I'm like, what? What are we talking about? A robust mount? How Des Fit can stand behind his review and say that is acceptable is a joke. I'm sorry. Like, so I'll add all of the things that Shane said. He came at it from. I'm just going to keep talking here, Jesse. You just tell me to stop when you want.
No, go.
So
I mean, everyone should just watch Shane's. It's like it's you, and that's very hard. It's probably not easy for Shane to do because you're in the little secret club that gets it first. So you know it takes balls to just dump.
So I am biased in this because obviously I know Shane, and I was talking to Shane about this when we both got this. And I thought, like, I kind of thought, well, this is, it just wasn't working for me.
Mm-hmm.
And my initial reaction was like, oh, here we go, Shane, you're going to dump on this. Haha, it's going to be hilarious. And he was kind of saying, well, it'd be interesting to see because these guys have a lot of clout and you won't potentially see really honest reviews of this. And I'm like, you're joking, right? No one can actually stand behind this stuff. Well, I watched Shane's video and I'm like, yep. Bang on, nailed it.
Yep.
Can't say the rest. Can't say the same about the others. But can I just add a few things? Am I just digging a massive hole for myself
No,
here,
I'm going to say it's funny because it's kind of exposing a little bit because everyone has the embargo date. Unless people are talking behind, like as you've done with Shane, they might not be sharing ideas. So you're kind of seeing everyone's original take on the product because no one's watched, Desfit hasn't watched Shane's video yet. And Ben Delaney hasn't chatted to you about it. So you're kind of seeing with an embargo date who actually tests it and can just give you actual real feedback and who's shielded, who's full shielded.
There's no way, I've ridden this twice. There's no way you could ride this device and put together anything that wasn't, this is a beta product, avoid at all costs, come back in 6 months and we will discuss again. That's literally all you should say, okay? And that's okay. Like Coros internally are saying that. They're saying that this is a work in progress. They're essentially saying it is a beta product. So don't tell the public anything else. Don't tell them that it has great battery life and the mount won't snap because someone might accidentally buy this and they shouldn't because they should be well informed to keep an eye on this over the next 6 months. It's a beta product in the works. That's all you needed to say. Obviously, this will be the last media device I ever get because I've just totally shat on it for the first part. And I'm going to go further because Shane picked out, he came at it from a real navigation perspective.
Yes,
as you know, I don't really, especially our riding here, I don't use a lot of navigation stuff. What do I use my bike computer for? Training. So you're riding along, you're doing a training ride, you're doing a session, and you want to go back into the main menu. You want to go back to maybe review a lap summary screen, or you want to change the Varia light setting. You have to press and hold the lap button, not that big twisty button. You have to press and hold the lap button. So how does that play in reality? Well, of course, you're riding along and, you know, your dexterity in your hands and that sort of situation, you press and hold the lap button. You go to press and hold it. And of course, you hit a bump or something like that and it comes off. Oh, I've hit another lap. Oh, I've hit another lap. I would have hit 7 or 8 additional laps just in a simple 2-hour ride, trying to go back into my main menu to just perform very simple operations. That's not something that can be fixed in firmware. That's just a complete UI fail. Who came up with that workflow? Like, that is not a cyclist. That's just bizarre. Just in terms of the actual, and now Shane referenced this a little bit. He found that his was doing this thing where you would stop pedaling, and I found this today actually, that I was doing, I don't know why I always do VO2s the day I do this, but anyway, finished the VO2, and so I finish, I hit lap, but my watts maintained for about 10 seconds to 15 seconds after I stopped pedaling. It was like this lag of power after I'd finished riding. Really, really strange.
That's what makes me confused. What's in it for a Des Fit or a Ben Delaney to give will kind of bring up the negative parts, but as an overall video where the person probably thinks it's a decent product. What's I don't get that. Like,
I don't know the answer to that. I just assume
because they're not being paid, are they? You didn't get paid to.
My guess is this: that Coros, and this is maybe the two of us with our bias of just not. We underappreciate how big that company is. I think maybe there would be pressure on, especially I think maybe people in the US, because it does have a big market share in the US and the wearable stuff. That they look at it and go, right, well, if I can get in with this Coros crowd, then, you know, maybe that's a potential cash cow for me going forward. I mean,
it seems like they're reviewing it. If you're reviewing a product, you should be thinking, I spent my money on this, or my brother's going to buy this. What video would I want him to watch? And then just like as if you've spent your money. These reviews are kind of these odd, like almost like not in reality, kind of super adventure oriented. The battery life is awesome. Yeah, but like it doesn't work. It's
the
not
rerouting
complete.
will send me 3 times around a roundabout. Like, what are you talking about?
It's like if you had spent your money on that, you'd be really pissed off. So you should be reviewing it as if you had spent your money on it, and if other people are going to spend their money on it, because they are. And so it's just, I think for like the way Shane Miller's reviewed it is just a fair. He's not even being rude. It's just a fair way to review it.
There's no defense for that with this, because reviewing tech is so easy. It just works or it doesn't work. Now, there's more to it than that with good tech reviewers, because they're able to pick out, you know, the benefits of how it sort of works in your life and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, a tech review is so simple compared to a bike review. A bike review is a friggin' Pandora's box of hand grenades. Like, I mean, the bike review is not it works or it doesn't work. I mean, if it doesn't work, it snaps in too. So clearly that's a fail. But everything else is sort of subjective and, it's a bit stiffer here. It's all these things.
Speed, it's kind of snappy.
Pause the ride to check my lap. That's a fail. Like, come on. Like, it's not even close. So I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think that maybe these guys we don't get the language. No, it's just not good enough.
No. Well, they've said that, so he's pinned the comment from them. They've said, thanks for your first look at the Coros Dura. When Dura ships to customers on July 15th, we will have updated the firmware from the early beta demonstrated in this video to a new version. It's a month away. I've worked in a tech company. Bugger all happens in a month.
That's fine.
So, because you have to then make the changes. It has to be retested again. There's probably some bug you introduced. Nothing happens in a month. And
that's fine. Give this to Shane and Chris, because I actually reckon I'm pretty good at this stuff. That give it to us now. Put an embargo on us till the end of the year, and we'll give you free beta testing. Well, actually, no, I won't.
Shane wouldn't.
Nor should he. But we'll charge for some beta testing for you, and we'll definitely do a good job. But don't suggest that there's a date where you want content going up talking about your product that doesn't work. That's all.
Yep.
You know, not that I'll ever hear from Coros again, but there we go. I mean,
Coros.
maybe Coros.
What's Coros? That's a brand.
Yeah, it is.
They do.
Yeah, I think it's a.
Didn't they make those Aero shoes? You know those Bont.
Yes.
Vapors.
Yeah. Whether it might be a watch brand, knowing me.
It is a watch brand.
That's a worry. Probably expensive too. Available as an ambassador. Yeah.
All right. There's Fit, do better.
There's Fit, do better. Yeah. So
I actually haven't watched this video, but he was overwhelmingly. It's pretty. It's pretty interesting, good product.
Pretty, great, amazing battery life. There's a few software glitches that they'll work through. I.e., it doesn't really work. Like, there's no way I could go out for a ride and obviously I ran backups just in case, but yeah. So that's my little rant for the day, Jesse. Everyone's favorite fitness YouTuber. I think I'm going to call him a fitness YouTuber because he doesn't like being called a fitness YouTuber.
Oh, okay.
Mark Lewis.
Yep.
Who I subscribe to.
Ooh.
I subscribe to the Mark Lewis Kool-Aid. Actually, no, I don't. But I do find his videos really entertaining. And he did one during the week where he was talking about motivation because he'd gone through this sort of thing where he was a super fit 50-year-old dude, let himself go, and it was kind of struggling to get back into it, sort of thing. And he was talking about what gets you going to try and kick you into gear motivation wise. And he kind of used some interesting metaphors where he was saying like people might use their family as a motivation, but then what happens when that doesn't work? Does that mean you actually hate your family? Or you might sign up for a charity run or a charity ride or something, and then you don't actually start training and that fails. Well, does that mean that you actually hate kids with cancer now as well? So and that sort of then just spirals into more of a thing of self-deprivation and falling apart. So I don't know. I just kind of thought.
I thought it was a weird video because I usually like his angles on stuff. It's good. This one I thought he was miles off. I don't get this idea that you're either he's either motivated, quote unquote. I also don't really like that word, but we'll use it. He's either motivated and he's cranking, he's training, he's fit, he's ripped, or he's not motivated and he's slop, fat, not training.
Watching Clarkson's Farm.
Yeah, like imagine if you only trained when you were motivated. I would be like 15-hour week. I don't touch the bike for 2 weeks. 6-hour ride on a Saturday. Don't ride for a week. 25-hour week. Like this idea that if your adherence to your health lifestyle schedule is waning, it's because you're not motivated. It's more just because you're not disciplined. Like you can't expect this expectation that everyone that's really in a good routine and eats really healthy and exercises really healthy is just always motivated is an absolute bloody myth. And it's a toxic myth because then you go, well, I'm just not motivated and that's why I'm, whatever. For me, it's like food, diet, right? Like when I get busy or lots of stuff going on, my diet is like the first thing to go out the window. I just eat slop. So it would be such a cop-out for me to then say, Chris eats healthier than me. Oh, he's lucky. He just stays more motivated. Like that is such a cop-out. No. I'm sure you're not always motivated. It's just that with my diet, I'm not that disciplined. And when my motivation drops, my diet goes out the window. And what's the result? Well, now I'm 7 or 8 kilos heavier than I need to be, which is, I'm not complaining. It is all right, but it is what it is. And so like for me, getting my head around the idea between you're either motivated, and if it's a time when you're not motivated, then you need to be more disciplined, and just accepting that is like pretty important one.
It's a whole chat that I find very alien as well, just because, and maybe this is because where I think cycling is awesome, and road bikes are awesome. Because to me, it's not about motivation to do it. It's. I know this sounds lame, but it's a lifestyle. Like the bike, cycling, everything is a lifestyle to me. It doesn't have to be the fitness part of my life. It can be. It's almost like can be a meditation part for me as well. So, and I do think that the sport is sort of special in that way, that there are multi-facets to be on a bike. Now, there's motivation required to go out and do a VO2 session. I believe that.
But I think that's actually more rare because I would say whether it's motivation or you just enjoy riding more, I would say I go through more periods of lack of motivation to ride than you. Because you always just ride. You just do. Whereas I really do go through weeks where I'm not motivated to ride. But I don't just slop around. Like you just go, I'm putting my kid on. I really don't want to go, but you just be disciplined and go anyway. So I think it is true that there are like, you know, there's definitely people out there that are sort of always motivated, if that's, or you just really enjoy it. So your motivation doesn't even matter. You just like doing it, in which case that's fine. But if you're not in that bucket like you are, well, then you just have to be motivated. The answer isn't just constantly, you have to be disciplined. You can't just keep searching for motivation.
Yeah.
It's just a weird way to like to frame it. He's like, oh, I went through a period of no motivation, so I didn't do anything. I'm like, well, that's freaking slop. What are you doing? Like, imagine if your diet was, the diet is a kind of a good example. Imagine if you only ate healthy when you were motivated. Like, oh, not motivated today. It's chocolate for breakfast and it's ice cream for dinner. Like, no. I need to eat healthy food. So you hold yourself to it.
Yeah.
But you have to, once you accept that, and be like, nah, it's a low motivation week. Okay, come on. Like, you don't just throw it all out and wait for motivation to come back. Is that?
No, that's that self-discipline thing that you discussed. Like that's, I want to say you either have it or you don't.
But you have to acknowledge that you need it. This idea that motivation's going to get you through is so toxic because then you'll never get it because you'll never realize, oh, actually, I just need to be a bit more disciplined. Like with Mark, like when he's gone, because when he was fit and we had that drop off, what are you doing? What are you waiting for motivation to come back for? Like it could be years. Yeah. So he needs to, He didn't actually mention that in his video about, hey, actually, sometimes it's okay not to be motivated, but you just go and do it anyway. Once you accept that, I think it's keep you more consistent. And if you're Chris Miller, you don't need to be either. You just love riding your bike.
It's so nice out looking at the trees.
I could safely say I'm not in that bucket.
But I mean, someone asked me the other day, like, oh, do you meditate? Have you ever considered meditating? Because I know a few people that do. And my answer is no. Well, my answer is yes, I do. And that's what it is a lot of the time. You're going to be disgusted when you hear this. I did some riding. I mean, God, road bikes are amazing. They're just fucking amazing. Like I was down around Berry on the weekend on the TCR and like I'm riding around these hills and I'm not just riding around this. I was doing efforts up these hills. No music, nothing. It's just awesome.
Okay.
And you finish and it's just wow. Like
it is. But aren't there, here, can I pick your brain for a sec? Aren't there rides in the week where it's 2 hours and it's kind of overcast, it's a bit cold and you're just going to go into Centennial Park? Surely they're ones that you don't really want to do, but you do them anyway.
They're not ones I want to do until I've managed to get out the door.
Yeah. But you have to force it, right?
You're not like
skipping out the door every ride.
Good
like,
point.
Come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there may be if you lived in I don't know.
But what's really good about that, I find, is because we have time constraints that, you have in your head, right? Well, I've got between 11:30 and 12:30 or 11:30 and 1. That's it. That's the time I've got. And because that's the time you've got, you just go through the motions. Okay, I'm out the door. I'm gone. That's the time I had. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's because you're disciplined. That's what I'm saying. You don't even realize you are.
Yeah.
Whereas there's a lot of people who I'm Instagram for 20 minutes and, okay, my hour and a half is now an hour and 10 and, then I got to kit up. That takes 10 minutes. Nah, fuck it. I'm not motivated today. I'll skip it. That's my point, is that I think you have, even though you haven't acknowledged it, you probably are relying on discipline a lot of the time. Or some of the time. I'd say you are naturally you love riding your bike. So
Speaking of discipline, no, there's no segue to this. That bike there. We're talking gravel, Jesse.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
I thought I was going to get through. I'm like, no gravel bikes.
I'm talking gravel. So I'm going to go do Gravel Nationals this weekend. I'm going to try and ride more than 2.3
See, that's why you're
Ks.
motivated.
Yeah.
You got a national gravel championships on the
I am
weekend.
trying to complete my first ever gravel race.
Okay.
And yes, I'm heading down to Tasmania to a place called Devil's Cardigan.
Aptly named because I've heard some good horror stories on this one. It is a brute.
So I basically tried to set my bike up like I'm going into war. I have this impression. I've actually found a few videos online of this course that I'm going to do, and it looks like this like funnel of death, funnel of wet, slippery rocks, like smooth rocks with moss growing on them, and like no actual line to descend as you're going to. Because there's 3 main climbs. Comes back to that chat we were having before about like what races can I do? Because they need to be 3 to 4 hours. That's like a good sweet spot for me. They have to be hard, they have to like be physically taxing. So that's exactly what this is. The only bad part is there's also 3 descents on these death rocks. So yeah, I'm going to go down and have a crack at it. I've decided to go as big as I can get on this Aero bike. So 45mm tires, running the knobbly of knobble things, the soft or medium set whatever they are.
Cinturatos.
Yep.
From Pirelli.
So we've gone that. Now, Edwin has. So this is the infamous GRX that died. He found a squashed wire. So the rear derailleur wire that now this was bought secondhand. So no too many dramas there. But he found that it was like it kind of had this. I'll actually pull a photo of it, like essentially squashed. Wire. So because I found actually did another gravel ride the other week where it was just suddenly, it wasn't stopping working, but it was doing like this thing where I'd shift, nothing would happen for 10 seconds, and then it would shift. And then it would go back to normal for an hour or two, and then suddenly it would go back to, so it had little gremlins in it. And to be fair to him, he'd full strip and rebuild.
Hey.
Weekly Miller strip and rebuilds.
You'll be doing them for yourself soon.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so he's got that back up and running, heading down, gonna have a crack at it, having a crack at the age group one. And what else have I got to say for it? So the other thing was, so nutrition wise, it's really interesting because I'm going to struggle to eat. This is the whole problem. I have, anytime I do gravel rides, I just, even just taking drinks out of water bottles is really hard. And so it's fully self-supported. It's not like there's midway stuff. So 4 hours, so 2 bottles, Hydra Pack. But the Hydra Packs I've got 2 little pockets. The Evoc one has got little pockets on the straps. So my theory is run 2 like bladders here of just sugar. And so you've got easy access to those across here. Try and run a camera and get some footage. And yeah, go from there and hopefully not die and finish a gravel race. The goal here is I would like to do Dirty Warnie at the end of the year. I said that last year and I didn't actually do it, but I would like to do it this year. So that's the goal. Finish a gravel race first and see how we go.
Finish it.
Questions from the audience?
Oh, they're lining up to ask questions about this. Yeah.
Oh, that was the other thing on this bike. So we're an hour 20 club. So
I don't know. It's just, what are
no,
you going
good.
there
You don't need to
for?
talk.
Okay.
You don't need to talk. You don't need to talk. I'm talking now. So the other thing on this bike I have had is, so I'd set this up with a 90mm stem, and because I always was told, or at least I thought, that you go sort of shorter and higher on a gravel bike. So essentially I'd come back about 15mm on that bike and up 10mm. And every time I rode this, and not just every time I rode it like off-road, but I would get like pretty nasty lower back soreness that would just build and build and build and build. So what I have done, in fact, as we finish up today, I'm going to go get a bike fit on this particular bike in an attempt to fix that problem with potentially going a bit longer and lower and really actually mimicking my road bike setup with just wider handlebars. So they're 40mm bars that actually flare even wider than that.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially the same config as my road bike, just with wider bars. See how that goes. So I'll update via some B-roll on the new setup, because that's where I'm headed after this. Asioma pedals on there. So I have the mountain bike pedals on there. I'm fully embracing mountain bike life for shoe wear now. After having walked so far at 7, I've now just decided that's it. Just run the Bonts with those. All good. Dual-sided power. Happy days. Seem to be pretty solid at this point. And we go from there.
Mm.
Do you think I'm mad doing this?
You're good for the industry, Chris. You're off to the bike shop. It's a full strip and rebuild. You're off to get a bike fit. You're flying over to Tasmania, gravel race, gravel bike. Just really helping the economy. It's that part of Tassie. It's like wet and
it's
cold. It's just I could not think of a worse race to do.
I agree. I don't disagree with you.
Dirty Warnie, 100% on board. Not for me, but for
I
you,
definitely feel like
something to
I'm
do.
massively out of my depth. Completely out of my depth. I mean, I had a look at the results from last year and I didn't recognize anyone in there. And that's because they're all mountain bikers. And, you finish with a 20K descent. So I may put time into anyone going uphill, but they're going to just fly past me on the downhills. But what was my point?
Just please be safe.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying like to pay you out. Like your risk of crashing and injuring yourself is very high. So just chill, please.
I will. Yes, there's not going to be too much sending it. Don't worry about that. There is a bit of a buzz about this event, though. I don't know whether it's just in the kind of
It's a
circles.
national championship.
Yeah, but it's not really one that's sort of cut through in the metro scene in the past.
Yeah.
So, but there does definitely seem like there's a bit of something going on for it this time around. So we'll see.
If you win your age category, I'll make you an Australian Championship National Champ Nero suit, Masters Edition. There you go.
All right. Okay. Well, if I can finish, that will be exciting.
No, well, you got to
enough.
win.
Okay, I got to win.
Yeah.
So
because
just ride safely, be careful, but win.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I'm just covering my bases from, I crashed 5K in to I blitzed it and won.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of say, well, I told you so either way. So I've
got it all under
got it
control.
covered. Yep.
All right. Thank you for your time this week, Jesse Coyle.
Thanks, Bruce.
We will see everyone next week.
See you guys then.